My name is Mette McLoughlin, and I'm the Vice President of Human Resources for Minnesota Public Radio and American Public Media. One of the big pieces for us is that the strategic plan has two people and culture goals, or kind of two components to that people and culture goal. And it is around engagement, having a very engaged workforce, and having a very inclusive workforce.
Okay, but this sounds like HR speak. I want you to tell me like you're talking to a first grader.
All right. We're just trying to make sure that everybody that comes to work there can feel comfortable being themselves and bringing their full self to work, because when we all do that, we are the most engaged, innovative, and creative. I don't have expertise in inclusion and diversity, but I have a lot of passion around it. I have an African American son, and I have a gay brother. I feel passionate about making a safe environment where those two, as a prime example, they would be able to work there and be fully comfortable being who they are. So I grew up in Denmark in what I would consider a middle-class family. My mother died of cancer when I was 11. I lived there till I was 21. I decided that I was gonna, before settling down, I was gonna just go travel a little. Went to Austria for ski season, and when I came back, about half a year later or so, my dad was sick. Shortly thereafter, he died. My brother and I lived with him in our childhood home, and we had to get rid of everything and bike around town to get on waiting lists to get a house for my brother, a place for him to live. So very, very tough time, and I've kind of escaped it. I just decided to marry an American that I had met in Austria, and I came to the US pretty much on that premise that I just didn't want to be in Denmark anymore. East of Rapid City is where his family lived, in a very old house, and not at all what I expected. This was the first time that I met the family, and it was a shock. It was a huge shock, and I was depressed. I worked in banks there for a while, and that was also very hard. Big difference in how people are treated based on gender. People with no money would be charged for their overdrafts. People with a lot of money not being charged. And, that didn't happen in the Danish bank that I worked in. It was just much more. You have an overdraft, you get a charge. That's just a small example of what I felt that I saw everywhere. That there was a real difference in how you're treated based on haves and have-nots. And I think some of those things have driven me to really committing to only working. I can't work in a for-profit. I feel like I belong in a not-for-profit that's mission-driven, and that's what it's about. I applied for the job at NPR. During the process of going through the application was also the time where I met Sean. We were married probably about half a year later, and very quickly in our relationship did we agree that we wanted to adopt. Any adoption now is an open adoption, and so it would not just be for him, it would also be for his birth family. Sandra's got 5 siblings. We see them very regularly. They have Christmas with us. We have the kids over one at a time for weekends. So we spend a lot of time with them. They are really like our family. This is something that really forces you to live a much more integrated life and much more inclusive life. I definitely feel I have an outsider perspective. I don't feel American, and I don't really feel Danish anymore, so I feel like I'm floating between worlds. English is my second language. I don't have a large vocabulary. I find in my career over time that I've been probably underestimated in some ways because of how I express myself. It's something that can be hard and embarrassing to talk about, but I think it's something a lot of people actually, as I've talked to people over the years, are challenged with. I think all of our APMG work cultures are friendly, casual somewhat, inviting for most people coming into. But overall, in terms of being inclusive, we have a long ways to go. I think we don't even fully yet understand what that means. And we have a lot of exploration to do. But I do think ultimately it starts with sharing more about ourselves, which is why I'm here.